We just got a shocking update in the very clear tension in battle within the White House between the wannabe First Lady, Natalie Harp, and really the not want-to-be First Lady, Melania Trump, who of course have clearly been at odds for years now according to reporting from CNN and Michael Wolff. But the latest move from Melania comes as a shock because she's been gone, but things are about to change for her public perception. And I think it speaks to how scared Donald Trump is of this story and how weak and powerless he feels right now. I want to talk about both of those ideas in conjunction with each other. But we have to start with the context of the relationship between Melania and Natalie, which is broken down in this story right here before we get to that shock announcement hangout. Melania's secret power struggle with Trump's blonde companion revealed breaking. The First Lady does not appreciate her husband's 35-year-old assistant. According to a Trump biographer, Melania Trump is locked in a secret power struggle with Donald Trump's 35-year-old assistant. According to the president's biographer, White House aide Natalie Harp has become seemingly inseparable from Donald Trump, and her near-constant presence is made all the more striking by Melania's conspicuous absence. A report and analysis by The Daily Beast found that the 56-year-old First Lady was seen in public just 47 times in 2025 since the inauguration, and 38 days in the first 7 months of 2026. Melania is steering clear of her 80-year-old husband because she has little interest in sharing his side with Harp, Michael Wolff says in a new post on his Substack. Michael Wolff writes that Harp's central presence in Trump's life has helped explain why Melania rarely appeared alongside him. Melania, whose appearances with her husband were carefully negotiated and choreographed, would not show up if Harp was around. Since Harp was always around, Melania never was appearing with her husband, only in the last weeks of the campaign. Harp, meanwhile, has gone to extraordinary lengths to stay glued to Trump. When Trump moved his campaign operation from Palm Beach to his golf club in Bedminster, not only did she try living in the maids' quarters, but when she wanted to get even closer, she then moved to the women's locker room. During this time, Harp also reportedly wrote Trump a string of love letters that she would leave in his personal spaces. According to Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan, "You're all that matters to me," one letter read. As Harp and Trump's attachment to each other appeared to deepen, Melania declined to even move into the White House after the president's return to office, other than at ceremonial occasions or in a strictly official capacity. "She has given up the role of wife," wrote Wolff, who has been clashing with Melania in court. Practically speaking, there is no room. We have been very easily able to track the distance that Melania has put between herself and Natalie Harp by just looking at the events Melania attends and the ones Natalie doesn't, or the ones that she does. Like Donald Trump's last bilateral meeting in China, Natalie Harp was there. Melania wasn't. In fact, I think it was Laura Trump who was walking down the stairs of Air Force One, and Brian Kilmeade to Fox said, "Oh, look, there's Melania," only to be corrected that it was Donald Trump's daughter-in-law and not his wife, because his wife doesn't show up when one person is there. Natalie Harp, who of course was in China with Donald Trump and got a little preferential treatment, preferential seating to be close to the president, which we know she likes to be. So there is obviously a dynamic here, and a dynamic that has LED Melania Trump, who certainly isn't Donald Trump's real wife but his wife under contract, which is maybe what she's always been, but it's LED her to be absent. Where's Melania? Is a question that the White House has really hated throughout the entirety of Donald Trump's term. And so, it is really no surprise to me that as that question is ramping up and there's more conversation around Natalie Harp as the fake First Lady, that Melania has made an announcement. Now we know this is someone who is image-obsessed, much like her husband, and it's funny because Melania's image is terrible, but given that she's here, heard all the chatter, and she's hearing all the chatter about Natalie Harp, she decided enough was enough. It's time to reassert myself with this shock announcement. Melania to put on a united front with Trump amid blonde companion drama. The First Lady will appear with her husband for the first time in a month. First Lady Melania Trump is scheduled to appear alongside her husband for the first time publicly in over a month. The Trumps are hosting an event at the White House Rose Garden on Thursday to launch a groundbreaking alliance with Melania's Fostering the Future initiative alongside IndyCar, Fox Corp, and 2 universities, Indiana and Purdue. Their announcement comes just ahead of the next Trumpian takeover of D.C., as the Freedom 2.50 Grand Prix of Washington is taking place this weekend. She is also expected to make an appearance at the race. The D.C. Grand Prix will take place on a 1.7-mile circuit along Pennsylvania Avenue, with cars racing past the U.S. Capitol and Washington monuments. Melania's scheduled appearance alongside her husband comes as Melania has not been seen in over a month as of August 19th. She was last seen by Donald Trump's side as they attended the FIFA World Cup in New Jersey on July 19th. Melania, who already keeps a low profile, has been seen in public just 38 days so far this year, meaning the First Lady has shown her face at an average rate of once every 6 days in 2026. Her attending the D.C. Grand Prix spectacle is somewhat unusual, given she did not accompany her husband to other high-profile events in the nation's capital over the last month, including the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner on July 24th and the funeral of Donald Trump's, supposed personal friend Lindsey Graham on the 28th. There are likely 2 reasons, and maybe it's both, and maybe it's one of them that Melania is attending this event. 1, it's a corporate event, and Melania loves the corporate events. She likes to get it on the grift, right? She likes to be by the money. So there's a possibility of that. The second is that Melania is just tired of all the chatter. She's tired of being humiliated. She's tired of being second fiddle. Again, I know it sounds wild, considering how much this woman hates her husband, but she does care about and think about her image, although her image is terrible. Melania and Donald Trump are married because they are both narcissists who indulge the worst parts of themselves and seek out at whatever cost what benefits them. And they love that about each other, or they hate it, and they're in constant competition. It is a loveless marriage, and it is what both of them 100% deserve. There's also one other theory I have of why Melania is showing up right now. Because Donald Trump has a couple of days allocated in their contract, right? Donald Trump can call her, up out of the minors at any point. Well, Donald Trump and the minors, I don't want to get started with that. My God, Epstein Files talk, we should do that soon. And Donald Trump can say, Melania, I'm calling you up. I need you. Let's do this. Let's do this thing. Let's pretend like I'm not having an emotional affair with Natalie Harp, but that is what Donald Trump is doing. He also needs his wife by his side because he's losing a lot. Donald Trump has never been more unpopular, never not more unpopular with Democrats, with independents, or with Republicans. It's why he's losing primaries all across the country, and why his approval continues to sink. So is it a surprise that he would want his wife next to him? Or again, his wife next to him? No, Donald Trump needs a good image. That is not what he has right now. And Lauren O'Donnell reported on it last night.
Do not think that Donald Trump did the right thing by starting a war in Iran that has driven gas prices up from less than $3 a gallon to over $4 a gallon. And so on election night tonight, Donald Trump is scoring his absolute lowest approval rating in a Reuters poll, which shows him with a 33% job approval. That's down 2 percentage points from the same poll earlier this month. Donald Trump spent months saying his war in Iran would end in a couple of days. But the Reuters poll shows 80% believe Donald Trump's war in Iran will go on for an extended period of time, including 71% of Republicans who believe Donald Trump's war in Iran will go on for an extended period of time. 71% of Republicans. And yesterday, Donald Trump confirmed that those voters are right. He did that in one of those private phone call interviews with a reporter, this time with a Fox reporter, who quoted Donald Trump saying this about the end of his war: "I have no time schedule. I'm not in a hurry." So with 80% of Americans now believing that Donald Trump, who has always believed he's a great negotiator, cannot negotiate his way out of his war, Donald Trump is publicly agreeing with them and saying, no, I cannot negotiate my way out of this war. Saying in fact, quote, I'm not in a hurry. And Donald Trump saying I'm not in a hurry means Donald Trump has no idea how to negotiate his way out of the war he started with Iran. And in that very same telephone interview with that Fox reporter, Donald Trump said, the midterms have nothing to do with my thinking. He is, of course, lying about that. He is desperately afraid of a Democratic Speaker of the House and a Democratic committee chairs in the House and in the Senate investigating Donald Trump and his family's plundering of the presidency. And so when Donald Trump says the midterms have nothing to do with my thinking, what he might really mean is, I can't think of anything to do that will help in the midterms. Donald Trump has not done a single thing to help Republicans win in November. He has only joined in Republican versus Republican primaries, and Donald Trump hasn't been able to win all of those. Donald Trump's candidate for governor in Minnesota was the My Pillow guy who didn't come close to winning the Republican nomination, even with Donald Trump's endorsement. Republican voters in Minnesota didn't care what Donald Trump thought about the clown candidate for governor who Donald Trump supported. We are not even halfway through Donald Trump's presidency, and Republican voters are increasingly saying, we don't care who Donald Trump endorses. Imagine what that might mean in the next presidential election if Donald Trump's endorsement loses value. J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio have been betting their entire political futures on the idea that Donald Trump will be the kingmaker in the next presidential election. What if he isn't? What if the whole country, including Republicans, has turned against Donald Trump 2 years from now? What if Donald Trump's endorsement for president is worth nothing 2 years from now, even in the Republican Party? Then who gets the Republican nomination for president? Then what becomes of J.D. Vance? Anything is possible between now and then, especially if Donald Trump's war is still going on then. And what we're seeing tonight with Donald Trump's disapproval ratings and with the weakness of his endorsements is that it is not impossible to imagine a Republican winning the next presidential nomination by running against Donald Trump. And if Donald Trump's war in Iran is still going on 2 years from now, then J.D. Vance might be trying to run for president against Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not just a pathological liar. He is a terrible liar. I mean, he is actually terrible at lying, just like he's terrible at everything else. And because he's terrible at lying and because he talks too much, the truth is often visible right there under his obvious and stupid lie. And so when Donald Trump says the midterms have nothing to do with my thinking,
Donald Trump is humiliating himself and showing that he has never been weaker, and that is our time to seize. It's why I am so glad that Senator Jon Ossoff set the news cycle this week. Win on the offensive, we need to do more of it. We are going to on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.